I would move for approval. All right.
Do I have a second?
Yep.
All those in favor of approving the minutes from the August meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks so much. So the next item on the agenda is the hearing for MSFE LLC, notice of violation from zoning. Who will be testifying tonight? And anyone else? Okay. So what I'd like to do is swear you all both in. Do you both swear to affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury that the evidence that you're about to give relative to this cause will now under consideration will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. David, would you like to come first?
Sure. The appeal requested the DRB reverse and rescind the notice of violation dated May 20th, 2025. The owner applied for a permit for the basketball court in January of 2021. The 2021 permit was denied. I submit for the record a copy of the application and the denial. The original application was denied because the location was within the front yard and side yard, required lawn areas. In Canton, the required land area is 90 feet from, in this case, the property line, because it's a private road, and 50 feet from each side yard. The owner submitted a document that has been reported at page 42, 442, page 435, page 1 of 2, an application for a wastewater system portable water supply permit with the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Attached to it is a map that the clerk received from the, I assume, Department of Environmental Conservation, showing the proposed site of the basketball court. It's noted that the line that is in about 2 inches from the state drive is the property line, and the proposed court was located in the neighbor's property. When built, the court was moved towards the residence and is now probably sitting on top of the septic system. The document from the state says at 1.6, by acceptance of this permit, the permittee agrees to allow representatives of the state of Vermont access to the property covered by the permit at reasonable times. Landowner, if he has to, if he makes any changes, he has, the permit can be revoked. I would suggest that the board contacts the state and requires them to come out and reassess the property. Additionally, the court, there is an existing basketball court on the property and a pickleball court located in a driveway of the property. So this is Mr. Martinez was aware at the time that he put the second court in that he had already been denied a permit for a basketball court. The applicable section of the zoning ordinance defines structure as anything constructed or erected, the use of which requires location on the ground or attachment to something on the ground. Clearly, the basketball court is attached to the ground, as is the backboard and hoop. And when he built the court, he brought in numerous truckloads of filling, and section 525 of regulation states in district the zoning permit is required for the depositing of rock, concrete, stone, gravel, cinders, stumps, and solid soil used for filling of land. No permit was required by the applicant. And protection in yards, section 544, every part of a required yard shall be open from ground level to the sky, unobstructed except for vegetation and for the ordinary projection of sills, cornices, chimneys, and eaves, provided that no such projection may extend more than 2 feet in any required yard measured from the base of the building. The basketball court is approximately 50 feet by 34 feet, I believe. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might.
Thank you, David. Oh, no, so, yeah, so I'd like to hear your testimony. Could we bring the mic over to you so we can pick up the recording?
You should turn it on.
Oh, turn it on.
Oh. Listening? I have no idea, but I can speak loudly. That wouldn't be a problem.
Zoom mic was always picked up. Okay, it should be on.
It's on. Okay, so I prepared a statement that I'd like to read. It's a couple of issues that I want to bring into context to make sure we go over a couple of things before we dive into the legal aspects of the ordinance or this or that, which I'm not the expert on. So before we proceed with the legal arguments, I would like to ask the board this fundamental question. Why is Mr. Martini still acting as a zoning administrator in matters involving Staten Drive and my property, despite the Development Review Board having previously asked him to recuse himself for any such involvement? I want to remind everyone present and those attending by Zoom, however, that over the past 5 years, my family and I have been subjected to repeated inappropriate, unprofessional behavior by Mr. Martini. His actions have exceeded well beyond his authority and have significantly disturbed our lives and our trust in this process. I would like to share several specific examples across 5 key areas that illustrate the ongoing pattern of unacceptable treatment and misconduct my family and I have experienced from Mr. Martini. The first category is overstepping authority in private property matters, which I'll give you 2 examples. There's more, but One is Mr. Martini got involved himself in a drainage project on my property, assuming the role of judge and enforcer in a matter that falls entirely outside his zoning responsibilities. This resulted in legal intervention in a dispute that I had to handle with the town back then. Another example is when he engaged in boundary disputes with my neighbor by promoting an unfounded claim that I had moved the boundary marker to make my property bigger. And he even reported this to the Agency of Natural Resources, the state agency, even though he had no legal or administrative standing in this matter. That's with regard, and both of those have attachments here that I'll leave with you. The second category, I call it unprofessional conduct as a zoning administrator. First example is he uses his official town email to send mass communications to all of our neighbors on Staten Drive, personally accusing me of causing drainage problems. These claims were never discussed with me beforehand, and I was forced to respond publicly and disprove all the false accusations he made there. Second example is he entered our yard without permission, driving his ATV with his wife across the lawn rather than using the driveway, and questioned subcontractors about the work being done under the pretense of investigating. This showed a complete disregard for our private property and for appropriate procedure. As a result of this unauthorized entry, I was forced to issue a formal notice of trespassing to protect our rights and ensure our privacy. This, I have attached a document and a video, as I was there in video the whole thing. The third category I call harassment and intimidation. Mr. Martini parked his vehicle on Staten Drive directly in front of our home while our children are playing with their friends pickleball in the driveway. He watched them in a way that made my family and guests uncomfortable. I had to approach him and personally ask him why he was observing this. Second example is he has pressured neighbors not to associate with him, suggesting that cooperating or even being friendly with my family could put them in conflict with him. This has created a hostile environment in our own neighborhood. The fourth category is selective enforcement of zoning regulations. One example is he reported my permitted waterfront wall construction to the state multiple times, while choosing not to report a nearly identical project being done by another neighbor on the same street at the same time. Second example of selective enforcement is he issued me a notice of violation for building this basketball court back in 2021, my property, alleging a setback violation. While since 2020, he had installed a new outbuilding in front of his yard of his property where he used to park his ATV vehicle that far exceeded the height, square footage, and setbacks allowed by regulation. Later, this was 2021, and he had it built in 2020. Later, in 2022, maybe triggered by an email that I was forced to write to David Raphael, he applied for a permit and requested a variance, and finally built the one he now uses for this purpose. The last category, a more recent one, I call it manipulative and dishonest. In this recent hearing memorandum, dated October 6th, a few days ago, Mr. Martini states that after he denied my permit on January 21st, 2021, he did not lodge any objections to my use of the driveway to play basketball with my children. This statement is false. On April 6, 2021, 3 months after that, he contacted the state of Vermont and the Agency of Natural Resources to formally report a complaint about that exact activity in my driveway. His current claim directly contradicts his document actions, and his actions appear to be a deliberate effort to misrepresent the facts. A second example is, despite the DRB clear instructing Mr. Martini should not be involved in matters related to my property, he initiated the first notice of violation in April 17, 2025. Rather than signing it himself, he had Mr. Zachary Weaver, chair of the select board, appear as a signer on the notice. This occurred just days after Mr. Martini had visited my property and questioned my contact record. When we appealed the notice, Mr. Martini evidently recognized that it lacked merit, so he withdrew it and issued a second notice of violation, this time signing it himself. This is the notice that we're currently reviewing. As a result of this ongoing conduct, I filed legal counsel in 2021 and formally presented my concerns and documents to the DRB through our legal letter and personal affidavit, which are also attached here. On May 17, 2021, I received a letter from the DRB chair, David Rafael, which acknowledged the situation and stated the following. We have asked Mr. Martini to recuse himself in the future from involvement in zoning requests or issues regarding the Staten Drive neighborhood and your property. Please contact myself or Maggie McCormick or Tom Kerr if you have any further questions or wish to apply to any permit in the future. This was a clear recognition that Mr. Martini's involvement was inappropriate and created a conflict of interest. Following the DRB formal directive instructed Mr. Martini to recuse himself from any zoning matters regarding Staten Drive and in particular my property, I responded directly to Mr. David Rafael and acknowledged the decision and reinforced its importance. I wrote back then to Mr. Rafael and all members of the select board the following. Our lawyers has discussed with us the various avenues or recourses that we might undertake in response to Mr. Martinez's illegal behavior toward us. On behalf of the town of Panton, the inference that a reasonable person would draw from to explain Mr. Martinez's behavior towards us would not be anything with which the town of Panton or any government authority will want to be associated. In light of the DRB decision at the most recent meeting to recuse Mr. Martinez, we have concluded that we would be best at this juncture simply to replace this sad and hurtful experience behind us and move forward in a spirit of cooperation with the town and the DRB. We do believe, however, that the public record and Mr. Martinez's behavior towards us had to demonstrate to the DRB, the Planning Commission, and the Select Board of the town of Panton that Mr. Martinez is unfit for the position of zoning administrator and ought to be removed for cause. Given all this context regarding Mr. Martinez's conduct and his documented history with the DRB, I ask again, respectfully and in good faith, why is Mr. Martinez now issuing notice of violation concerning my property? Why has it been allowed to re-engage in zoning matters involving my home when the board itself formally asked him not to do so? I ask because I still believe in the integrity of this process and in the values that guide it. My family and I are simply asking for fair treatment, peace of mind, and confidence that commitment made to ensure due process will be respected. I trust that the board will consider this not only as a procedural question, but as a matter of principle. This is no longer just a personal matter. It is a question of the town commitment to fairness, consistency, and accountability. Allowing this behavior to continue undermines the credibility of the zoning process and erodes the trust in the town's governance. I urge this board to enforce the decision made in 2021 and take immediate steps to ensure that my property is handled in a fair and impartial manner moving forward. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comments.
So the question remains, why is Mr. Martinez here?
I categorically deny everything you just said. I was never informed that David Raphael wrote him a letter. I was never informed to recuse myself. In the incident where he described my driving on his lawn, our neighbor came to me hysterical, saying that he had moved the boundary line and
Who did this?
Jackie did. You met with her, you took a picture with her.
Oh, so you got that.
I'm only telling you what
Please address the chair.
she came to me very upset, wanting to know what could be done. I called the clerk at the time, Maggie McCormick. Maggie said, well, would you feel comfortable going over and talking to him, or should I send the sheriff? I thought it was more neighborly if I went and asked him to speak with Jack McNamara. I took my wife, so I would have a witness. At that time, hundreds of truckloads of material were being deposited on the lake shore, and they were driving trucks down across his lawn. I had a bad back, I took my ATV and parked it, what was dirt on top of the driveway, and then walked back in the public areas of the property, which I have authority to do, and asked him. He came and got right in my face, told me I was trespassing, walked away, and all I said to him was, please go and discuss it with Jackie, which he subsequently did. She was mistaken. I never viewed what she was talking about. And as soon as I told him to talk to Jackie, I got back in my gator and vacated the property. I came out one day to go get my mail. They were playing pickleball, and I sat and watched, not on his property, in front of Jackie's property and my property, and sat there watching him play pickleball. He came and approached me, videotaping it, which he does. I don't know why he has to videotape everything that goes on. I never exited the vehicle, and I went back. As far as the shed on my property, I came before the board, got a variance and a building permit and a certificate of occupancy for the shed. The property is 90 feet wide. There's no area on the property where I could build a shed that would be within the setback requirements. It's more than 90 feet from the front, and it's on the side of the property. The two neighbors on either side, and West John Hall were aware that I was building and approved.
Thank you for your comments.
If I may, so was there a permit issued for this construction of the structures?
No,
Okay. All of the items that we're discussing here, is it basketball / pickleball, or I'm not sure. Do you have a survey and an updated plan?
There's no permit for the current, the basketball court pickleball. For the pickleball nets, the standards for the nets, those are movable. There's a standard that has the backboard that's in the ground.
I swear, Attorney Brown, if you're gonna testify, you should be sworn. That's all. He's providing facts, so he should be sworn in, and that's perfectly fine.
Attorneys can relate facts, but you can go. you can
Oh, okay, sure.
There is no permit for the pickleball basketball court. The net is removable. and there's a standing post. It's a standing basketball post. That's what this is all about.
Is it a permeable or impermeable surface?
It's an impermeable surface.
It's an impermeable surface.
And we got a permit from the state.
Mhm.
Martini mentioned a while ago when he did his opening statement that suggests you go back to the state and check it. I wonder why he didn't do it, but before I built it, I went to the state and got the permit from the environmental. And it's on file. I don't have it here, but I'd be happy to send it to you, or you can ask for it yourself. It's.
You have it in front of you.
No, I don't have mine. I don't have the,
You have the link.
I don't have it with me. I updated the survey. He claims it's on top of the mound of the septic system. It's of course not true. Again, it's not in my best interest to put it on top of the septic system. So I went back to local geologist and Steve Ravel. He went to the state, permitted the location of the current port, and that's where it was built, exactly where the state permitted. And you can ask Lincoln Electric, the state, whomever appropriate, but it's all there. But the claims that it's on a septic system or that he did have a permit in 2021, when I got denied on that request that he mentioned, he already had that. The permit that he said he asked for a variance, is more than a year after he denied my permit, and he had the shed. So I just want to clarify, whether it's relevant or not, that what he's saying is once again, not accurate. And lastly, when he says he denies everything that I just read, I'm going to leave with you a copy of every document. There's nothing that I read that is not backed by emails, by Debbie Raphael, by the select board, by everybody. And everybody was copied on those emails. The email that Dave Raphael sent to me telling me that he was recused. The Zachary is copied, the select board is copied, the old, here's the email. Here's the whole packet. It's all there. So I want to make sure that everything that I've said can back up.
And there's also included in that packet are phone records that we got through public record request to the state of Vermont, where Mr. Martini complained about the portable basketball hoop in the driveway that the kids play basketball. I'm trying to get the state of Vermont Agency of Natural Resources to take enforcement action against the private portable basketball in the driveway. And as well as this other, and the boundary line dispute, which he has, one has no business involving himself in the zoning administrator, but also he has no business trying to involve the state in matters that are outside this board's jurisdiction. We just saw it again here, the wastewater program. The zoning administration has to focus on zoning. This board has no jurisdiction over state programs, but here he is repeatedly inserting himself into other processes without basis. It's just flat out wrong. And I've got in this packet, you'll see the phone logs of his calls to the Department Agency of Natural Resources, which he just denied. He made.
I did not deny a false.
He said he denied everything Armando said.
Any other testimony you would like to share with us today?
I'd just like to come back to my original question, because I wonder if you knew that he was asked to be recused and he was copied the whole DRB and the select board, that he should not be part in all Staten Drive because of a conflict of interest. After legal disputes and thousands of dollars of legal expenses and everything else that were caused by harassment, the DRB came to the conclusion that he should not be involved. That should make a big statement. They were backing us up, saying he's been asked to not take part on anything on the whole road and specifically on my property, because they feared that what had been shown already, there was something there beyond the natural, professional, well-directed zoning administrator that was going on that they wanted to prevent. However, here I am again, being harassed by Mr. T. And I just don't get it. But here you have a whole package that I appreciate if you read, and if you have any doubts, have my phone, I'll be happy to come. Again, I don't have, there are 8 attachments. I didn't know how many, but there's 1 copy. If you need more, I'll be happy to create them.
Do you have any more testimony specifically around the violation that we're here to discuss today?
I mean, if he needs to be sworn in, he's the lawyer, he knows. Okay, great.
I'm happy,
Okay.
I'm happy to be.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, say that again, I didn't, wait.
said- I was telling Armando that I don't need to be sworn in for legal arguments, although I'm happy to be. I have legal arguments to address to the board, but I'm happy to be sworn in. Or put it that way.
Sure, why don't I swear you in, just have to get the, make sure I get the right language.
I always stumble and hurt myself.
Do you swear or affirm under,
Here. I think I'm in year 18 and 19. And I have one person on the board whose job it is to remind me to swear in witnesses and repeat it.
Yep.
Recycle it, forgetting halfway into it, and judge Deputy says, "You're swearing in." Oh,
I got the same warning. Do you swear and affirm, and the pains and penalties of perjury in the evidence you are about to give relative to this case, this cause, I'm sorry, now under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Sorry, Kevin. Because I try to make this statement before going into legal arguments, and I'd love to have your position on it. Is my belief, and there are 3 lines that are relevant in that last page on that package. That Mr. Rafael expressly states that Mr. Martinez needs to be recused from all of it. Now, here we are. Why? Before we go into legal arguments, if there's an issue with the legal arguments, you can debate it and whatever it is, that's fine. But why? Having a letter addressed to the DRB and to the select board saying that he has to be recused from it. I'm sitting here again, and I'd love to know what's your take on it.
So I and our board is not in a position to comment at this time.
The first point I'd like to make with respect to the scope of town zoning regulations is there are 3 Supreme Court cases. First one from 1998. These are referenced briefly in my notice of appeal. So I'll just, I imagine you've all read that, but the basic rule is even if by the terms of the zoning regulations, they would apply to certain activities, it's an incidental recreational activity. That's just outside the scope of zoning. In other words, there is no subject matter jurisdiction for town zoning over something like the pickleball court. There just isn't, even if by the terms it applies. So the 3 cases, one, I'll first to our most extreme. The first one is a mile-long motocross track with jumps and incidental recreation activity. Within the second was a private shooting range with a shooting stand. Just outside zoning altogether, even though by the terms of the ordinance, the shooting stand is a structure, the motocross track with its jumps was a structure because a bunch of fill was brought in. And that's the same thing here. So even if I'm going to say why they don't apply, but even if it did apply, it doesn't matter. The regs did apply, it doesn't matter, it's just outside zoning. And as a corollary to that, so that means there's no subject matter jurisdiction over this particular use. And Leslie will, I expect confirmed, but she'll tell you when, whatever she thinks, but subject matter jurisdiction can't be created by the parties, by anything parties do. It either exists or it doesn't exist by operation of law. And it can be raised at any time, even for the first time in a Supreme Court appeal, if there is a subject matter jurisdiction argument. It can be raised by the court at any time. So whatever happened in 2021 with the first basketball court just doesn't matter. There's no, it it was not a creation of subject matter jurisdiction where it didn't exist. Parties didn't know this law, but it's well-established law now 27 years old, so. With that background, I just want to discuss briefly what and again, I addressed most of this, even by the terms here. The town ordinance, zoning bylaws, doesn't cover this basketball court. Maybe it meant to, but, when you look closely at your regs, there's no coverage here, and specifically, you have to keep in mind that zoning is in derogation of private property rights, so the rule is that it must be construed strictly against the municipality and in favor of the private property owner. If there's any ambiguity, the board and a court has to take the interpretation that favors the property owner and against the municipality. So let's look here. There is no setback regulation in your ordinance. It's defined, but the term does not show up anywhere. It's not in 1003A. 1003A, which sets forth the yard setback, the required yard areas, front, rear, and side, uses yard, front, yard, rear, yard, side, not setbacks. It doesn't mention setbacks. In fact, none of the districts mention setbacks. And yard is, when the yard measurements are defined by measuring from the property line or whatever to a building. So your 103A distance limitations refer to distances to a building. Clearly, this basketball court is not a building. It's a structure, at least basketball pole is. But it's not subject to the yard, side yard, front yard distance limitations, just by definition, because you look at specifically the definition of yard is land area on a lot, not excluding buildings or structures. The front yard, yard front, your definition says the land area between the street center line and the ordinary high water mark, and the building front line. Yard rear is defined as land area between the back line, the back line of the property and the building. And a building, so, and side yard isn't actually defined at all, but if it was a construction, I just spoke about what required to be interpreted in the same way, so. Although setback is tossed around as if it applies here, by your own regs it doesn't. And so there is no violation for this basketball court because it's not a building, no matter how close it is to the property line. If you're going down the road of, well, it's flat surface, blacktop, it's attached to the ground, you gotta be careful because all sorts of things are attached to the ground in that manner that you don't enforce against or even try to regulate. Driveways, for one thing. Those go right out to the road. They're blacktopped a lot of time, or they're gravel. There may even be fill brought in. Those are just outside regulations. The field regulations are broad. Point I should have made at the start of this is what we heard for some of the rationales that are included in Mr. Martini's memorandum are new, still issued. Among them, you're limited by what the notice of violation says. The notice, you can't add new violations now. The only regulations I decided as being violated side and front yard setback. That's it. So everything else in his memorandum that identifies other issues like fill, just outside it in the required yard, just not part of the violation that are for you. Fill's a good example that definitely, if you took it verbatim, then you bring in a doubtful soil to enhance your garden. or build a raised garden bed. Under Mr. Martini's interpretation that is advancing here, that requires a zoning permit. You know that that's just not true. That's an incidental residential activity as well, so you have to have the backdrop of what's permissible, regulatory activity was in zoning and, what's not, so, basketball court isn't a building. The backboard is not is a structure, but not a building. A building has to have. Roof. So, when you look at 103A, which is the dimensional requirements for, this zone, RA10. It's front yard, rear yard, side yard. And yard applies to buildings only, not structures that are not buildings. Another important rule of construction or application of rule of construction applies to 3016, which exempts this type of exempts structure, not building. So there are various, there's a list of 9 exemptions from zoning permit. 6 is the one that's in play now. Terraces, decks, steps, or play structures which are not covered overhead. That's what the violation is based upon. And there's no distance requirement in there or standard in there. But when you look at subsection 5, subsection 7, subsection 8, those all have distance requirements. So there are 2 interpretations for number 6 as well. Since there's no distance requirement in number 6, then the dimensional standards elsewhere apply. Or that the drafters knew how to put in dimensional standards when they wanted to, and they didn't here. So therefore, there is no dimensional requirement for terraces, decks, steps, or play structures which are not covered overhead. And given the rules of construction, you have to take that one. Even though the other, if there are 2 reasonable ones, if it's ambiguous and at best this is, you're required by law to take the interpretation that favors the private property owner. I think that's everything. Let me just double check quick. Good. Happy to answer any questions.
Would you please read the introduction to section 301?
The board tells me to.
Go ahead and read it if you would.
Following require no zoning permit, but must conform to existing zoning regulations for the district of Sarah. It doesn't contradict what the rule of.
Must conform to the existing zoning regulations. Sorry, I put stop.
So thank you for your comments, Dennis, Logan,
Yeah,
questions?
is this a conforming or non-conforming parcel within the RA10?
It's a small lot. It's a pre-existing small lot. I don't know when did Hampton adopt zoning? I couldn't figure it out. These lots have been here for a very long
It's a
time. Pardon me?
pre-existing, you said?
That's my understanding, yeah, because it's less than 2 acres.
Yes,
Yeah.
194.
Yeah, so all the lots on Staten Drive are pretty narrow. They're almost like, not quite spaghetti lots, but they're kind of like that, so. I can conclude that these are cases zoning and Mr. lot was predecessor combined 2 of the lots, Carrera, concrete guy, David Ferrer owned the lot. I think
Richard Burr.
Richard Burr. I think he was the one who combined it, but may go back further than that, so. This lot is a double lot when you look at all the other lots in Stafford Drive, and they're really narrow. So none of them are 10 acres.
I have a question that has to do with the first permit, it's not permit, the first violation.
Yeah.
Was that ever appealed?
No.
Any questions, Dennis?
I'm just taking this all in. As Logan and myself, we're new to this, sure. You know, since this started, there's been a multitude of people change and hearing a lot of stuff tonight that I'm not aware of, wasn't aware of. And I want to put my eyes on it.
Any other questions?
So you mentioned state permitting for this, that was all submitted for shoreline and DEC, like the wastewaters and whatnot, is that?
The document Mr. Martini produced is a wastewater permit.
Okay, so this was the one, right, I believe that's showing it off of the property line, is that representative?
I don't know.
Oh, man,
See the date for this?
No, the record's good.
No, that's not it. No, not sure.
yeah, so this.
And I'm not sure if this is the latest one, but again, right before building, we went back to the state and Lincoln Geology took care of going back because the septic system is there. And it was an impermeable surface. They said, we might as well triple check with the state before giving a green light. So the project, remember, I'm trying to build this in 2021, it got built in 2025. So the state took a long time. They came back and when they approved the whole thing, then I built it.
Yeah, I just see a stamp here from 2/20/25 from the state, and it's,
So then that must be it.
okay, it does appear to show the proposed court off what I believe is the property line, so. Is there a
But
difference?
it's not built like that.
Oh, it was built
That's-
different from the plan?
No, I think it was, I don't have the right answer at this point, but if this is 2025,
Yeah,
this should be the latest one.
okay.
Any other questions? Further comments?
I guess I would point out that, the basketball hoop, there's no standard that holds backward. There's no evidence submitted that structure is within the side yard setback.
Is or is not within?
That it is too close to the property line. Because it's. Sketch, well, it's a survey, but, is the corner of the court. The, standard is is roughly in the middle, but, you know, on the opposite the street. So closer to the lake, but in the middle, so, in order to find that the basketball standard itself was too close to the side yard, you have to have evidence that it was, and you don't. What's the length?
It was permitted at a bigger size. This, I think this reads, but even with glasses, I cannot read this right.
Yes.
But it used to, I think it was permitted like at 65 feet long, like 38, and it was built much smaller because when we were there, it said there's no need to build that size, and if we're permitted for a bigger one, we might as well build it smaller and go away with it. So I think that's why it's not as close to the property lines it shows here, since we didn't build it as big as it was permitted there. And again, everybody said, yeah, I think it's smaller and kind of bigger. So that's what we did.
Any other questions from the board?
Just to clarify this map. Who drew the basketball court onto this map?
Lingo geology, I believe.
Lincoln Geology did that?
Yes.
So they got it located improperly, I'm assuming?
No, it's within the shade that's drawn, it's just smaller. We built it at a smaller scale than what is shown there, but it is there.
Your property goes right up to state, right?
Yes.
No, it does not. This line coming through is the problem. The property line runs through the port. They moved the port in, so it wouldn't be on, it is not located as on.
Is there a survey available?
There's no survey.
Other questions?
But I just want to clarify, that was the reason for my question, because I want to know exactly what the property line is. Is it Staten Drive or is it 244 foot line that we see drawn on the map? Well, and if that's the property line, if that basketball court is situated correctly, then there's something wrong with the drawing in my mind.
Well, you have to go back I was looking up out here, I was talking, but you have to go back all the way to the drops and out Scott Drive. So people onto the center line. Or not.
And again, there's more information that we don't have.
Two thoughts here. One is, this is correct, which I understand the question, and I'm confused as well. Because I see the drive, the road is there, where it's assuming the road is where it is. Something is out of scale, because if from the road to the garage is well depicted, then again, every house in the road has septic systems outside of their houses, lots. That's something that's off there. Because I can tell you that from the road to the door of my garage building is where I believe my property starts. And is that parking area, is where parking area is written. And the court is behind that line, not in front of that line. So it's closer to the lake than that line. And as you can see, the other line that crosses almost horizontally there is the lakeside 250 lakeshore zone. That we wanted to make sure that we were off of it to avoid other issues.
Other comments? So I'll entertain a motion to go into a deliberative session. I'd like to invite the board, David, zoning administrator, Leslie, town clerk. I'll have a motion for that.
Motion for that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're gonna close the open meeting and go into executive session. Oh, we don't, okay, we can go downstairs. Yeah, we'll go downstairs. Thank you. So we're ready to reconvene. So we're coming out of executive session at 7:21. So a couple of things I'd like to share for the record. Our town clerk was able to find a map, hand that around.
So just,
So I'd like-
just to clear, that's a survey received by the town clerk's office back in the sixties of the entire State Drive property. It was a legal survey. It's not recorded in our land records, but it is stamped and signed by legal, and it was received officially by the town clerk, at the time.
Okay, great. We'll enter that in as part of the record. And we would like to request a couple of things if we could. So what we'd like to do is continue this hearing on a later date. And in the meantime, we were wondering if you could produce an as-built site plan a survey of the property, so we can tell where everything is, where the, you know, where your,
The court is in relation.
where the court is, where the hoop is, and the permanent hoop. Correct. That would be one thing. And the other thing we'd request is, would you grant permission for the board to do a site visit?
It'd be lovely if you could do it very soon, because I'm not here all the time, but I'm here for now. So if you could schedule it this week or next week, would be wonderful.
Well, let's propose, we have a proposed date for the continuation of the hearing. But let's bounce that off of you to see if that could work. So we're thinking, would be the 11th, actually, the 13th of November, the 13th of November at 6 p.m.
I thought it was, well, yeah, let me see if I can. So I'd love to be there, to be honest. That'd be better.
And do the site visit with Lauren.
Do the site visit before.
Oh, we'll do this. Yeah, we can do the site visit. This would be for this would be for the continuation of this hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't clear.
And get the whole thing.
Got the whole set.
What you have is.
Yeah, we didn't bring the whole thing, so. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's,
Alan, Art, and Wolford Ponders. Property survey is April 1967, by Lee Wolf,
One.
86 orders.
so you said the date for the continuation would be what?
The 13th of November,
Okay.
at 6 p.m.
Oh, that's that good. Okay.
I'll try to be here, but it's not a week on Zoom. But I'd love to be here.
Excellent.
Excellent.
That works. All right, we're ready to move on
If
to,
you wanna do a site visit prior to that,
oh, yes, yes, yeah, is there a particular day that might work better?
anytime next week. I'm tied up through Sunday.
I could be free most any late afternoon. I've got.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Yep. How about next Tuesday at 5? Seems reasonable.
Can you give us a reminder on that, Jamie?
I will send you,
Big warning.
send you a. And I'll include the other board members as well. Excellent. Thank you very much. Tuesday at 5. All right. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Have any comment from the public? Sorry. Monthly report from our zoning administrator.
I have nothing to add.
No report. Excellent. Any other business come before the board? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the DRB.
So,
Second. All in favor?
thanks.
Aye. All right. Now then we'll just quickly move to the planning commission meeting. I will adjourn that meeting at 7:26. Thank you. So the minutes that you passed on were then from both, yeah, so. So you reviewed the minutes for the planning commission as well. I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
Motion to accept those.
All in favor?
Aye.
Update on the municipal planning grant. So last night, at the select board meeting, we presented, basically what we have is an opportunity to submit the planning grant that we did a couple of years ago that was denied. So we rewrote the grant. The only reason we weren't awarding the funds is they just ran out of funds. So we were just not on the top of the list. But we've been encouraged to apply again. We're looking for, instead of last time, we were looking for $19,000. Now we're only looking for 17,000. There's a 10% match by the town. The town select board voted last night and accepted that. So that's going to be in the budget for fiscal 27 if the planning grant is approved and awarded.
For 1,700.
1,700.
17,000, that was the one email.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We received the budget pertaining to that. Is that 17?
Yeah, it's in the planning, but basically it's the same grant we submitted a couple, but none of us were involved in, but we made some minor updates to it. And so Katie from the Regional Planning Commission is going to submit that. It's due in the next few days. That's why we had to ideally, thank you, Leslie. Ideally, we would have had it in a reverse order where I discussed with you before we went to the select board, but we really needed to get their approval last night. So we went ahead and got their approval. So we're all good here.
This is a copy of the proposed budget from Katie Raycroft Myers that asked County Regional Planning. It's pretty similar to what was proposed last time and approved by the select board, or approved by the PC and the select board last time. You'll see that 17,000.
And some change.
Okay.
Yeah, so I misstated. It's $17,580, but essentially neighborhood.
Just an important note too, that the enhanced energy plan, which is kind of a component of redoing the town plan, that is covered by a separate grant through Addison County Regional Planning, of which we're probably going to bear no financial responsibility for redoing. They're going to work with us. I met with Jolien, and I'm going to connect Jolien with Jamie to discuss it, and he may come forward and see update. But one of the things, the Shaftesbury project, solar project was approved recently. And so, one of the things that it's a good learning opportunity for Canton, to learn what Shaftesbury did or didn't do as part of that project to make our enhanced energy plan stronger and more resilient versus developers coming in and asking for things. So Jolien's totally aware of that. He's approaching it from an angle of specificity of language, creating solid definitions, making sure the areas are in place. And there's a couple other components that he will update the PC on when that's ready. But that'll be sooner than the town plan, obviously. We'll have they don't need to go part and parcel with each other. But that'll be something he'll bring before the PC when he has like a draft.
Yes.
Can I make a comment about that? Mary, before she left, they had talked about, what her intent was to reduce the size of solar fields that would be allowed in the town of Canton. Because Vermont's a small state, and these massive, slabs of solar panels that they're trying to install in the state really are just inappropriate everywhere. And what they had done in Addison was reduce it by the amount of energy they could produce. And that was how they were going to try to control the size of it, so that they would limit it. What was it, 50 megawatts? Where it is for us, they were going to reduce it down to like 5. Period. That's all you can do in one installation. And so that would also reduce the wind size, which is a good idea, because there's been, everywhere all over, people are being wise to the fact that companies coming into the state And they're basically bribing farmers with money, big money, what seems to the farmers, it seems to be big money. But it's really kind of like a shell game, you know, where they're offering them all this money, well, they're making, you know, way a lot more money than these farmers are ever. And they're basically at the land grab. So, that was Mary's, they did that in Madison. So I would look at and see what they did in Madison. Because we thought that was a good idea as a way to look at the enhanced energy plan. A lot of people at the enhanced energy plan, there were so many of us that were totally shocked. Didn't understand it, didn't understand how it got put in place without, you know, the people that live here knowing what was going on and what the result of that could possibly be. And we learned the hard way with a big shock, you know. And so we didn't even understand that that was something that would be possible. Because it wasn't ever really, of course, back then, nobody really attended these meetings and paid attention to them. They just let David or wherever, you know, and trusted them to do, you know, I don't know if he knew the scale of what could happen under that enhanced energy.
Thank you for the comment, and I will be on the, you know, I'm the representative for Panton on Addison County Regional Planning, so I
Right.
will be definitely keep my eyes peeled, and there obviously will be a, you know, some discussion about that when it is proposed.
Right.
I just, so Paul would have received an email from Gretchen several weeks ago when she made a comment. One of the comments she made was about the Act 181, future land use mapping and designations. And I think in some, what she was suggesting is she was in support of the plan and more specifically the mapping. And I think what she was referring to is having some of the designation as a, was it a one, I'm just trying to remember it's like a 1A and 1B.
Yeah, the tier 1B.
Tier 1B. And her rationale, and share that, is it isn't committing us to anything. It's just saying that if there is development, that's where we would want to see it. And I thought that made sense, especially near where the bypass would be coming through. So, you know, if all things move forward, and we're talking probably a decade from now, but if things do move forward, there will be a bypass, and it's going to be either come through Panton or it's going to be just adjacent to Panton. And we would want to be prepared for potential growth that would come there. Again, it doesn't mean we have to agree to it as a town, but we'd have the option if we wanted to have some sort of commercial development and more importantly, more residential development. Just wanted to see if there was any other comments. Of course, we couldn't talk on the email about that, but I wanted to know if either of you had any other thoughts or concerns that I should share with Addison County Regional Planning in terms of the land use mapping. Excellent. Another
I
opportunity.
think the only thing with your involvement with regional planning, Jamie, and maybe it's me that I need to keep myself more informed, but it would be good if we were aware of all the stuff that was going on with regional planning. I mean, is there a place that, a site that a person can go to get that information? And
Yep, it's an Addison County Regional Planning
Yeah.
Commission. So, yeah, the ARPC. And when there's something that is of, sometimes I just joined this board, but
Yeah.
in the past, what I would do is let David Raphael
Yeah.
and then after that, Mary know if there was some element of discussion that involved anything that we would be interested in. So generally, it's pretty quiet, unless there are big things
Yeah.
going on, like the land use. I mean, that's something, but that's something that's gonna come before
Sure.
this board anyway. But in terms of just regular discussions, if anything that does involve Panton, I will bring it to the board.
I'm the representative of the Transportation Advisory Committee for Panton at Addison County Regional Planning, so transportation related stuff, I'm
Sure.
connected with that too, so obviously has a planning component. And obviously, we'll be bringing that up to both the select board and the planning committee as needed, and as, you know, necessary.
Is that supposed to be a resident?
Nope.
Public comment before we,
One is, maybe that it was supposed to go into the other section. But, are the farms, large farms in town supposed to, you know, adhere to the setback, right of way issues? Because, yeah, what we got going on down here in Jersey City, past the nights, huge line of large heavy equipment is parked on the right side of the road from the south. It's a line of, you know, the dumps, the trailers, and it's right in the road. And there's a lot of people that live south of that farm that travel through the street to work every day, and they're afraid to drive by that place because it doesn't feel safe anymore. It feels really claustrophobic, and, you know, they come barreling out of that barnyard, and a lot of times I've almost been hit a number of times, you know, like that big equipment, because they're not paying attention, they don't really look. And so I'm wondering if they are allowed to park in the driveway.
don't know that that's a DRB issue to address, but it may be public safety or a select board issue. I just don't know if that's.
It can be brought up with the select board in terms of the town right away, but the only thing that the town has authority on in terms of farm zoning is the building setback.
Right, but it's not a building, it's because it's mobile, so I don't know.
It would be a thing for the road foreman and such.
Yeah, so,
And the other question, there was some comments made that the tree committee was having a meeting and they were going to discuss South Road Trail, but there's no minutes of this committee meeting and no report of what they discussed regarding South Road Trail. And I'm wondering, are there minutes taken on those committee meetings that are reported? There's stuff written by the tree warden himself, but I'm not sure, but it didn't say anything about what they had, you know, maybe discussed about South Road Trail.
unfortunately, I don't have any information.
There's only 3 members of the tree committee, it's myself, the tree warden, and Diana Raphael, and you're welcome to attend and join the tree committee. No minutes are taken because it's a non-legislative, non-judicial, not even decision-making board. And nothing was discussed about South Road Trail. It's just about organizing for this grant at the last couple meetings.
Well,
But-
there's something bigger.
Yeah, it hasn't been formally established because, well, I guess it will be formally established because it's a component of this grant requirement, but, so I'll make sure to list the members. And you're welcome to join, anyone's welcome to join, talk to Rick Bassoon. And you can get on the email list.
Any other comment?
No, I mean, just that, you know, there are, grants available, and the comments that I get on South Road Trail, everybody says it's so long, what do we use it, what do we need it for, you know, I mean, it's a nice walking trail or bike trail, it's a perfect bike trail to get the bikes off Canton Road. It is the perfect spot to get the bikes off Canton Road, which before when John Biscuit was on the board, there was a big push to widen the road to have a bike lane. Obviously, that's never gonna happen, because that's gonna cost millions of dollars, you know? And they're especially not gonna do that now with the size of the ditch they've given on either side of the road. And so, anyway, South Road Trail is like the perfect solution to having the bikes move off of Canton Road and giving them a safer path for Canton. Because this route right from Jersey down to be at Goodrich Corners Road and then Lake Road, and then back up however far they go. Sometimes they go to Adams Ferry, sometimes, you know, the Keene Road, but that's a really popular use for bike riders all summer, they're all over the place here. And some of the roads are quite dangerous, you know, I worry about them with those big corn trucks. I'm surprised that nobody's been hit because it's really quite dangerous. But, that would be one way to make it safer, and there are actual recreational trail grants available for improving it as a trail. And I don't know if anybody's ever looked into it. Maggie said, well, here you do it. She didn't want to do the work. And I can look at the old emails that she sent me a number of different places, she wanted me to take it on and do all the work, which I'm fine to do it, that's fine. But, we never got around to it, because I didn't really have the select board authority, ever got brought up, you know. So, anyway, that's all.
Well, thank you. Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move.
We're out of here. All right. Thanks so much.
Second in a vote.
Okay, second and a vote.
Aye.
Been looked to over eager.
You can choose motion and second anytime, Kyle.
Alternate, yeah.